wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
Yes, indeed.
We got the brother Skillz here.
What up, man?
How you feeling?
How you doing, my brother?
You know, same-ish, different air freshener.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just trying to keep it pushing.
Have you retired the wrap up? So do you have to do like, because you got to break, I mean, the year's a little easier, but
Right.
it just Diddy. But do you do the wrap up still?
I haven't done the wrap-up since like I think the last one was 2022.
So 2 years.
So, yeah, like I stopped after like 2 years. I think I did the last one over like Hoes, like Encore. I promoted it as like the last one. And then after that, I had a chill December. Like, that song used to take up so much of my life at the end of the year, bro. I ain't get to do Christmas shopping or go, you know what I mean, put up the tree, nothing.
You got to go from January all the way, like all the eventful things that happen. Oh, you gonna have to do this shit. This shit is crazy.
People say that every year though. They like, you got to do one this year, and I'm like, actually, I don't. You know what I mean?
Well,
so,
did you and Uncle Murda have real issues over that?
Nah. Yeah. It was just like it was just fun. It was, you know what I mean? Like I never ran into Murda or nothing. And even if I did, we probably would have just looked at each other and started laughing. You know what I mean? Like I know he a character and that's what he do.
Imagine beefing over a wrap up. Y'all should collaborate and do one though.
That's you know who said that first? Clark Kent.
Really?
Clark Kent was the first person that said that. And actually this year, after, you know, Clark passing, I did think about it. You know what I mean? Like that he asked me to do that. You know what I mean? And in 2018, I was super stubborn, still battle rap mode. I was like, nah, I'd never do that. But then after Clark passed, I actually thought about it.
Y'all still got time? Y'all got
Listen,
Murda.
I just ain't gonna rap as long as him. I'm 3 minutes in and out. Attention span's too short. Like,
Murda go 15.
Murda gonna go 15 minutes. Like I ain't rapping that long for nobody.
Y'all got 14 days left. So that's what's up.
He got 14 days.
Oh,
he got
14 days
He
left.
on the clock.
Congratulations too for being nominated for a Grammy Award for Best Spoken Word Poetry
thank you,
Album.
man. Thank you.
What is that? What's it? And it's a stupid question, but to you as a rapper, rappers are poets.
Right.
What is the difference between poetry and rap, at least from the Grammy's
music.
perspective?
Once you take the music out,
okay.
you know what I mean? It's poetry. You know what I mean? I feel like all MCs are poets. So you know, the Grammy had it in a category before where it was a lot of other things happening in the same category. So maybe like a poetry album or a spoken word album would be in the same category as like somebody reading a children's book.
Yeah.
And shout out to the brother Jay Ivy who won last year.
Salute to Jay Ivy.
Yeah, he kind of advocated for it and let them know like, yo, this is different. Like we shouldn't be competing against Barack Obama reading his book. Like we ain't gonna. That's not spoken word. So he pushed for it to be its own category. Now it stands on its own, and I got nominated this year, so it's wild. It's crazy.
Who you going up against?
It's me. I want to say Malik, Youssef, Omari. Omari got one. I can't remember who else is in
Omari
it.
Harwood?
Yeah, Omari Harwood got one.
wow. Okay.
Queen Sheba and an amazing artist named Tank from Tank and the Bangers.
How many times have you been nominated for a Grammy?
I got nominated once as a writer when we did the Nicki album, the Pink Print, in 2015, but I think we lost to Kendrick that year. But this is the first time I ever been nominated as Mad Skillz.
Now you got to say exactly because people are going to take that and be like, you
Nicki
vote for
will
Nicki.
be on your ass. Ain't nobody ever wrote for me.
So
I wrote a hook.
There you go. There you go.
I wrote The Night Is Still Young, and I did that with like Tehran, Esther Dean. Like it was like three of us. Nicki write all her bars.
Okay.
All her bars.
Salute to Nicki. Did y'all win? Y'all didn't win that year.
Nah,
right?
we lost. I think we lost to K-Dot that year.
K-Dot.
So.
What would winning the Grammy mean for you?
Oh man, listen, it would change my life, and just, you know, for the creatives in Virginia, man, who are, you know, doing their thing and just pushing the culture forward. Like we always talk about Philly and VA as being like the redheaded stepchild in the music industry, you know what I mean? But we collaborated a lot, so it would mean a lot, man. And this is probably my most personal project to date. I ain't never been this personal in my music, and I almost wasn't even gonna put it out.
Wow.
And my wife was like, "No, you should really put this out." And I was like, "Babe, it's too personal." Like I don't, you know how I'm like, man, I don't need everybody knowing my business. Like, so to be rapping for 30 years and then the first time I really get personal and vulnerable on a project, it get nominated for a Grammy. Wow. Crazy.
What made you want to do a poetry album versus a traditional hip hop album, especially saying that you was getting so personal?
Right. I started it, and when I started it, the first two songs was like raps, but they were so, I was moving, like, and I was like, I gotta slow this down. I want people to be able to digest it. So I tried it another way. And then once I started sending the song around to like friends, they was like, yo, nah, keep going. And the song, the album is called The 7 Number Ones, and it's about 7 things that happened in my life that literally changed the direction of my life. So the first song was like my parents meeting. The second song was when my mom used to play music around the house, my first love, you know what I mean, my first daughter being born. So it's all first.
Nice.
And that's how the album came about.
Is Irma and Bernard is about
My parents,
but
yes.
You got your grandma featured on.
Yes, which is crazy. So if I win a Grammy, like my grandma will get, you know what I mean, a participation plaque.
Wow.
Like,
That's dope.
so to be at 97 years old, you know what I mean?
Wow.
So yeah, I used to sit down with her, and I never knew how my parents met. So I would just have a phone and just throw it down and record her, just so I could go back and listen to it later. And I put it on the album, and it's like the hooks. So my grandma is actually featured on the first song.
Isn't that the crazy thing, how much we don't know about our parents?
Yes.
Like they had a whole life before us, but we don't even ever sit down and talk to them about it.
Yes, man. It was therapeutic for me to learn, because my mother died of a drug overdose, like a heroin overdose, like when I was like 33 maybe. So it wasn't until like American Gangster came out and I watched it, and I remember seeing them going back and forth bringing the work from Vietnam, and my father went to Vietnam. So I made the connection, like, damn, my father was the person who turned my mom on to that.
Oh, wow.
And they died 30 years later, like to the day. So it was just weird, but to not have that, but then to realize it later. So yeah, man, it's a real thing. That album is crazy. It's definitely very introspective and vulnerable.
And then it's also very personal, the track about your parents, because how they passed. It's true that they both died from drug overdose.
Yeah, both died from a drug overdose. And when I was little, they was like, oh, you know, your father died from a heart attack. But then later on, as I got older, like, they was real with me and they told me what happened. So
Yeah. And was this the most like emotional track to
yeah,
record?
that one and the one about my daughter. Like, I literally sat, you know, I play my daughter's songs all the time. Like, I posted a video the other day, like, of her getting in the car, and I wanted to play her the song. So as soon as I get in the car, I play her the song. I'm going to play the song. She like, yo, I want to play you something. She said, did you do a wrap up? And I was like, nah.
She wants a wrap up.
It's kind of a wrap up, but it's about you. You know what I mean? So I played it for, and I always got cameras around, so I had the GoPro in the dash or whatever, and I'm taping her reaction. And then I showed it to a couple of friends, and my man was like, oh, you should do a video for this. And I was like, bro, this is the video. Like, me and her sitting in the car listening to because I was scared when I was 19.
That's the fatherhood record.
Yeah, I was 19. I was 19 years old. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. You know what I mean? So to see her now as an adult and to be able to flourish in life, that's all you want for your kids.
How old is she?
She's 31 now.
31.
Yeah, so we sat in that car, man, and I'm a crier. I'm a cry about my kids. So as soon as the glasses came up, everybody was like, oh, I know you about to cry. And I'm like, man, listen, if it's something I'm going to cry about, it's going to be my kids. You know what I mean?
Do you have those conversations with your daughter that you never had with your parents about?
Yes.
You do have those conversations?
Yes, and I try to make sure that my kids know things about my life, and early on in my life, I wasn't perfect. I was a mistake. I made mistakes. I was a young father. But to be able to move forward and learn from those mistakes, those are things that help me in my life now.
Those mean a lot, because I do that with my kids. So I try to talk about everything that happened, especially my parents are still alive. But like, if you talk about, I don't even know how my parents met.
Right.
You got to find out. It's question
Yeah.
to think about. Like, I just didn't think about it. But my kids know that, you know, whatever
How
it is.
you and your wife met.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you take it more personal when people critique tracks like this that are so personal to you?
Nah, not really. I mean, once you put art into the world, it's going to get critiqued. You know what I mean? Period. I always felt like whatever it is, once you put a song out, people have the option to either say, yo, that's fire, that's trash. You know what I mean? But for me, this project has been able to connect with people in a way that a lot of my rap albums never did, because people are like, yo, I listened to your project and I thought about my number one. Like, you know what I mean? Like you thinking about the first time you started DJing, or you thinking about, I want to be on radio, or yo, I want to be a comedian. You know what I mean? Like, those moments stick with us. Like, I could ask all y'all, yo, what you was doing like November 9th, 1994. You probably like, I don't remember. And I'd be like, yo, where was you the first time you heard Illmatic? And you'd be like, yo, I was in my man car. It was high school. You know what I mean? The music attaches to the memory.
I mean, I was 2 years old, so I don't know what I was doing. I was probably,
You was probably someone with a bottle.
You know what I'm saying?
I definitely remember the first time I heard Illmatic. That was a good question from Jess, though, because it's like, it's different when somebody be like, yo, that Irma and Bernard whack, yo.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Nah. Yeah.
What you talking about?
I get it. It was, and that's the reason why you can't dive too deep into the comments and this.
Yeah.
I definitely saw somebody. Yeah, it was kind of corny, and I'm like, all right, cool. It ain't for you. You know what I mean? But for me, it was super therapeutic.
You
And I
still
think
ghost-
okay.
I was gonna say, do you still ghostwrite?
Not as much as I used to. Just because the music now is a little different. I mean, I can get in that bag easy, but the calls don't come as much from the younger artists because they want to keep all of their publishing and all of they. I still get calls from some of the OGs, but I just. Put the pen to the paper.
You ever have ideas for artists? Like you see certain artists that you love, and you like, yo.
Of course. And I'm like, I have songs, and I'll be like, yo, like I have songs like complete verses and hooks, and I'll be like, yo, this would be perfect on this person. This would be perfect on this person. But sometimes we don't have the same vision, so I hold on to songs a lot, and just sit on them, and we just do what we do. But I never want to die with the art in me or stuck on a hard drive. You know what I mean? I want to put it out.
I was gonna ask, with all the writing that you've done, how lucrative is publishing? Did you get all the publishing that was deserved, or a lot of times they just gave you a check and said you're not getting none of that publishing?
In the beginning,
do you eat off of it still?
I mean, yeah. In the beginning, most of it was like, quick little bags here, you know what I mean, brown paper bag money. Then I learned about publishing later, and how lucrative that could be. But I never did a publishing deal. So for me, I always was able to wait for my money. Like nobody was able to dangle, a couple $100,000 in front of me, and I'm like, I gotta get that now, because I'm like, I could wait 6 months for mine, you know what I mean? Because when it come, I know it's gonna be more than that. And there's so many stipulations on publishing now, and this, that, and the third. So I'm like, man, I don't really want to, I never really wanted to wait, like take a loan from them and then just have to deal with the paying them back. So I'm like, I'll wait for my bread.
Is it still an unwritten rule that ghostwriters aren't supposed to talk about who they wrote for? Because it's not taboo no more for people to have.
I mean,
writers.
yeah, it's not really, I don't, but I never really revealed. Well, I won't say I never really revealed, but I make more money when they ain't nobody talking about ghostwriting. You know what I mean? So, and if people work with me, they know most of the time I just ain't gonna throw them out there under the bus for no reason. But sometimes people just know about it. They be like, oh, I know you wrote that. Earlier this year, I did a show in Virginia, and I actually performed a song that I wrote. And then it was in like a McDonald's campaign, like maybe like a month later. And people was like, oh, you wrote that? And I was like, I've been wrote that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I feel like a lot of rappers these days, a lot of younger rappers, they feel like they lose credibility if somebody, if it gets out there that somebody is ghostwriting for them. Yeah, that's.
I mean, sometimes you just in the studio and it's just help. You're like, yo, what if you say it like this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like even like for instance, my homeboy KP the Great, he ended up on Kendrick's All Right, but only because Pharrell was like, we gonna be all right, and he was like, yo, I think you should say it like we gonna be all right. And he was like, really? He was like, yeah, it just sounds slicker that way. He got writing credit, got a Grammy. Like he just told him how to. He just took something as small as Pharrell saying it one way, and Pharrell being, in sound, mind, and body, going, "Yo, KP told me to do that." He's owed some credit off that.
That's why, because most people wouldn't have did that. That one,
Yeah.
They would have said, "Nah." I said, or would have gave him a little check.
You know what I mean? But and that's the thing about it. To be able to be in a room and collaborate with your friends, you know what I mean, and make something dope with your family and your friends, you don't care about the credit. Because like Quincy Jones always said, when y'all start talking about money, God lead the room anyway.
I agree.
You know what I mean? So we in here arguing about something that we ain't even made no money over yet. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
It stops the creative process.
When you hear people when you wrote for somebody and then you hear people say that person is the GOAT, do you ever be like, I'm actually the GOAT?
I put it to you. I put it to you like this. Sometimes I always say, like, if I fix people's roofs on their houses and people's like, oh, I like his roof, his roof is dope, and I'm like, they ain't even seen my roof, and I'm cool with that. But hopefully, if I did my business right from making all these roofs, I got a nice roof too. You know what I mean? Just look at it that way.
How did you get the opportunity to write Jay-Z's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction?
That came from Questlove. He called me and he asked me. It was weird how he said it. I was in a barbershop. I picked up the phone. He was like, "Yo, when did you stop listening to Hov?" I was like, "What?" He was like, "When did you stop listening to Jay-Z?" I was like, "What you mean?" He was like, I heard you say before, like back in the day, like you would be able to hear Jay-Z verse or a line and you could just quote it. Like, when did you stop? And I said, maybe the last thing I might have checked out was like 444. You know what I'm saying? He was like, all right, cool. I need I need you to do your thing, but the way you do it, like wrap up style, but with like all of the quintessential Jay-Z lines. You know what I mean? Like, I will not lose, and you know what I mean? All of this stuff. So I was like, all right, cool. And he was like, and I need it in 9 days.
Wow.
And I was like, wait, what? He was like, I need it in 9 days. He was like, I'm about to pitch it to Beyonce. Because at first, Beyonce was supposed to do the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Beyonce's idea to have different celebrities say different lines. So once I started writing it, we started going through the entendres of who would say each line. So that made it even doper for somebody to say a line that was, you know, textbook with them. So having like Will Smith say, you know, no more Big Willie, my name, you know what I mean? Like those type of lines. And then even having David Letterman say the CBS line, I keep one eye open like CBS. That was the hardest part of the whole thing.
Wow.
And David Letterman was like, yo, this the line y'all want me to say? Like, it don't feel cool. And we like, yo, if you say this line, it's going to be the dopest line in the whole thing. And it was. And then to have Blue at the end say the ghostwriter line, like, it was just dope, man. And he hit me afterwards. He didn't have my number. He just hit me afterwards and thanked me. And I was just like, wow. Like, you wake up to a text from Hov saying that was dope. Like, thank you. Like, that was
How
crazy.
you know he didn't have your number?
Because he asked Questlove for it.
Oh, got you.
You know what I mean? Like, billionaire Hov, I ain't had that number. You know what I mean? I had 2000s, 90 Hov's number. You know what I mean? But shout out to Jay-Z, man.
Becoming Mad Skillz. At what point, when did you drop the Mad from your name? I don't know.
No. It's still Mad
It's still Mad
Skillz.
Skillz, right?
Like,
Yeah,
it's still
yeah,
Mad
yeah.
Skillz. Around the time when I was on Roques, I was going by Skillz for a little bit, but then one of my partners told me, he was like, man, why you change your name? I was like, I ain't want to start sounding old school. He was like, fool, Nike don't change Nike.
Yeah.
He was like, they might make Air Maxes, Air Force Ones, but Nike always Nike. And I was like, damn, you right. So I just went back to Mad Skillz after that. That made like 98, 99.
And then it go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was about to ask you about the documentary you dropped on YouTube.
Oh yeah, the
90s Girl
90s Girl Brunch. I did a during quarantine. I did a stream, kind of like D Nice was doing, but I accidentally created a sorority of women that still stick together to this day through a stream. You know what I mean? And I made a film about it and put it out. And these are women from all over the world, all over the United States, and they still link up to this day, and they call it Brunch Club. And it's just dope, man, to be able to connect people through music. And, you know, what we was going through in COVID was hard, but, you know, people like D Nice and Jazzy Jeff and myself, we was online DJing, and those people still stuck with us. You know, he'd still do club quarantine concerts and whatnot. So it's people that was attached to that and are still attached to it to this day. So I made a documentary about it.
So it's artists?
No. It's I was just playing songs.
Oh,
but the
okay.
women that were on there, they accidentally started becoming friends. So now they go on trips together. They go to, you know what I mean? They go to New Orleans, the Essence Fest together. It's like 80 of them. You know what I mean? It's crazy. So it's a dope movie. I threw it on YouTube, and if you ever want to see the story, you can check it out on there. It's called Mad Skillz and the 90s Girl Brunch.
Why you haven't written any like TV shows or movies and stuff like that?
So boom. So listen, after the wrap up, you know what I mean? I'm chilling and I'm watching y'all. I was watching y'all, and my wife ended up saying she wanted to watch this show, and the show called Supercell. So we started watching Supercell, and I'm looking at the show, and I'm like, Rap Man. I was like, why do I know that name, babe? She was like, I don't know. We watched the first episode. I was like, yo, this shit is dope. I was like, Rap Man. I was like, why? That name just sound familiar. We watched the whole show, and I kept seeing created and written by Rap Man. So I seen him on The Breakfast Club, and I'm like, oh, that's the dude that did the show. Like, why I feel like I know him? Yo, why I went and searched his name, and he used to do the UK wrap-up for like 10 years. So he was doing wrap-ups.
I think he said that.
Yeah.
When he was up here, he said that.
So I DM'd him, and I was like, yo, bro, I checked your show out, man. Like, you know what I mean? I think it's dope, great work. I said, I remember you from back in the day. You used to do the rap. He was like, oh, man, Skillz, I bet your whole shit, bro. I'm sorry, man. I took your whole shit, man. I used to do the UK version, man. It's amazing to have you in my DMs, man. I was like, yo, it's
great
crazy.
that you can put that accent on like that.
Yeah, I know, right?
That was pretty cool. That was pretty good.
I was like, it's crazy to go from writing wrap-ups to writing shows. And I tell my wife that, and she like, yeah, it is. And I'm like, so, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I definitely got some ideas. I pitched some shows. Shout out to like James Samuel, and we got some things in the work. Black Thought, you know, Questlove, 215. Entertainment. Like I definitely got some things that could make it to television.
It only makes sense. I feel like that's the next the next level for you.
Yeah. I got like at least 3 shows that I'm trying to pitch. One I've already pitched. 2 more is like movies. So yeah.
When'd you start DJing?
Oh man, I was DJing when I was little. You know what I mean? I started taking it seriously in probably around 2015, 2016. I used to tour with Jazzy Jeff. So after that, I always knew how to, play records and blend or whatever, but parties was a whole different thing. And I tell people all the time, like, you can sit in your room and practice scratching, cutting, fading, but you can't practice reading the room.
Right.
You know what I mean? Envy can tell you that. And DJing is the one job where you know instantaneously whether you're doing a good job or a bad job. You play a song, everybody stop dancing, you're doing a bad job. So for me, DJing, the passion that I lost in rapping, I found in DJing. So I started going heavy with it. And it just people like Jazzy Jeff, Clark Kent, and Kid Capri all of them was supportive. You know what I mean? So I just started doing parties. I've been doing parties 10, 11 years. We just did a party homecoming.
Do a bunch of parties together.
Yeah, he always win you in VA. So yeah, man, I love DJing. I love it.
I want to talk about what has happened in VA the last couple of years. Of course, I went to Hampton University, and when I went there, it seemed like you say VA was the outcast. But now I see everybody in VA coming together to make VA great, from the Fight to Pusha T's festival to Pharrell's festival. So break down what's happening in Virginia, because it's something I've never seen before, which I love.
All those years are getting overlooked, even though we have, some of the greatest musicians and artists in the world.
Athletes as well.
Yeah, athletes as well. AI, Vic, you know what I mean? Like, we always had a chip on our shoulder, you know what I mean? So, and it was never really unified. So now it's becoming unified to where, we having festivals and we supporting each other, we writing records with each other, collaborating, and just helping the younger generation come up. Because I want people to, look back at Virginia and be like, damn, they stick together. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, like on this album, I got hella people from the crib, did hooks, did production. So like I said, winning this Grammy, with my friends from the crib means more than, cause I could have got any producers, I could have hollered at some cats, but I wanted to do it with my friends and my family. So Virginia is always home, man. Like they say, it's something in the water, and it always will be.
It's interesting because, right, you had Pusha and the Clips. I mean, the Clips and Pharrell and the Neptunes.
Yep.
Clips and Neptunes, and then you had Missy and Timbaland, Missy and Magoo. But it almost feels like in a lot of ways, VA, they gave the sound away.
Yeah.
They gave the sound out. Because what if they would have just kept that sound with just VA artists?
I always thought about what if Pharrell and Chad had did like a Manny Fresh, you know what I mean, and only rocked with my homies, and my crew was only getting this vibe. Like Manny was just Wayne, Juvie, Hot Boys, like, you know what I mean? I felt like it could have been something special, but it still grew into something special. But you can't tell another man what to do with it.
But did they try? Did they try with Clips and try a lot of it? And I don't think people understood the sound.
Right. It was so futuristic.
Right.
You know what I mean? When it came out, like Teddy Riley didn't know what to do with them in 1993 because it already sounded like 2025 then.
Yeah.
So I think the world had to catch up with Pharrell and them sound and Chad. And once they did, everybody wanted it. And you ain't about to turn down Britney and Justin and Michael Jackson, and you're not about to turn down those production calls.
Same thing with Timbaland. I think Timbaland was the same. Like his sounds was so futuristic. He wasn't going to turn down Jay-Z and Aaliyah. And
why? You know what I mean? Why? So, but Tim is an amazing dude, man, and so is the Neptunes. I love those dudes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Well, the album is out right now. It's streaming now. It says something about voting, so the Grammy can vote on it starting when?
No, they can start. It started last week, and you can vote up until January 3rd. And I am in the best spoken word album category for the album, the 7 number ones. So we just out here campaigning, and if you listen to the project and you like it, and you are a Grammy voter, but feel free to, click that button for your boy.
Writing is such a lost art, man.
It is. I still write. I still literally walk around with a book and a pen. Like, I like to see my ideas. The phone is cool. Like, I could put in a voice note or whatever, go into my notes, but I like to be able to open it up and see it, and when it's done, cross it out. You know what I mean? So for me, I walk around with pens and pads and things like that. I still like to physically write.
Absolutely.
And lastly, New Year's Eve, you're going to be at the R&B block party. My family's doing it with you, of course. Family, Antonio. Get your tickets now. If you're in Norfolk, if you're in Virginia, the 757, it's the Norfolk Scope. Tickets are still available. It's you, it's Brian Michael Cox, it's
Bink.
shout out to Bink, it's
Izzy, everybody, yeah, the
Izzy's
whole
there,
crew.
everybody. So
R&B
get your
Block
tickets for that.
Party.
If you're out in Virginia, make sure you pull up on them. The R&B Block Party is one of my favorite things to do throughout the year. So definitely get your tickets. And appreciate you for joining us,
Oh,
brother.
thank y'all for having me, man. I will catch y'all. Happy holidays. Good New Year to all of y'all.
Thank you.
And appreciate you, Charlamagne,
Happy
and the
holidays,
guy,
brother.
for letting me come up.
My guy.
It's Mad Skillz. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Peace.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.